A worship leader does not have to be an amazing vocalist. A worship leader just needs to know how to worship. Because when you worship, other people will join. And I think what we're missing in the churches across America is we're being perfect. And God does not want perfection. He wants our hearts. And it wasn't raining yet, and some of the people from Rocketown came over. So we had like 8 people to worship with us on Tuesday morning.
It's a big crowd.
Yeah, at 6 o'clock it is. And so we're singing and worshiping, and then this guy starts doing somersaults.
Either that or it was some kind of like Paul the Paul whatever dance or some kind of modern dance.
Then he would do a few more, right on the pavement. And I'm thinking that has got to be painful. And then everybody else left because it started raining. And then Steve and Ernie got up inside the tent with us because we started pulling the walls down. And so they joined us. And we started singing Dance in the Rain. And so Steve gets up and he just gets right up to the front of the platform. And of course he's very free because nobody's there. And so he's just going like this, dance in the rain.
An unwavering love, forgiveness and favor now shines down on us. Once we had wandered and you hid your face, but you heard us call out your name. Now we'll dance in the rain, sing through the night. You break every chain and turn darkness to light. Now nothing.
This whole misconception about how praise and worship has to be perfect. A dear friend of ours, David Leatherberry, David and Julie Leatherberry, awesome missionaries. Just in case they see this video at some point, he tells the story. He was also David was an incredible speaker, communicator, still is. But he said one time he was stateside and getting ready to preach at a meeting, and the special song before he was to get up and preach was these 2 old guys with violins, fiddles, And he says it was the most awful thing he'd ever heard. They got up there with these fiddles and they're creaking and sawing and hacking and groaning, and it sounded like that somebody had stepped on a cat. And David, he later says, I was sitting there thinking to God, oh God, how can I get up and preach after that awful caterwauling? How can I preach after that? David hears the voice of God, and suddenly he heard the voice of God saying, David, would you like to know what I think about their playing? Yeah. So God thinks about your singing and about your playing and everything that we did. It's the most beautiful, exquisite gift that he's ever received. So
he told a story about how he's actually a preacher, but that he went to this talent show early on in his ministry, and they wanted him to sing at the talent show, and he was like, no, I'm not a singer. No, I'm not a singer. And so finally, though, they talked him into it, and he got up and he started singing For All He Was Worth, and 3,000 souls came to the Lord that night, right there. And so I said, well, he said, and you just have to let the Lord, to work in it. And I said, well, we did pray that the Holy Spirit would interpret what the people were hearing from our mouth to their ears.
I remember when I was a teenager, we were at a church camp, okay? And we were sitting, the guys sitting on the back, and they were having their time of worship, and the guys were sitting on the back, and just, it was not cool to sing out to the Lord. And I remember this elder's wife, she came up to us, Lyra Bennett was her name, and she came up to us and she said, why aren't you boys singing? And we just kind of like, you know. And she says, don't you love the Lord? Well, yeah, we love the Lord. Well, then why aren't you singing? Well, one of the guys said, I don't have a very good voice. And she says, honey, that doesn't matter. What matters is what's in your heart.